co-founder of the Lincoln Project, Rick Wilson. Rick, good to see you. Thank you for being here. You just heard Jay O'Brien fact-check some of the press conference, but it was an hour long. I'm wondering what was the most surprising part of it to you, as we have heard some of this for years?
Well, look, I think the most surprising part for me was Donald Trump's energy was pretty low today. This was not the guy selling at the level he did in 2016 or 2020. But as for the lies, you know, it comes with the Trump territory. I thought the one that claiming he had larger crowds than Martin Luther King was particularly egregious. But, you know, he's feeding two audiences here. One, he's trying to reset his campaign with the national media. And two, he's trying to feed his base and the MAGA machine something to tell them that he's still in control of this campaign, because they've really had a terrible almost 3 weeks now since Joe Biden left the race. It has turned into a much different chemical compound than it was before. It's turned into a much different sort of arrangement than it was before. Trump feels like she's got big crowds, big energy, big support. He sees the polls, and his campaign team sees the polls slipping in key states. You saw today when the Cook Political Report moved Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia on from lean Republican to toss-up. So Trump is seeing all these things. He was desperately looking for a way to reset today. But even as a critic of Trump, I can be objective in his performance and tell you it came across as slightly unhinged, utterly mendacious, and frankly not effective. It wasn't this sort of big charismatic Trump presence that I think his audience really needed to see today.
I'm curious what you think about this, the attack on Walz's military service. Moderate former Michigan Republican Congressman Peter Meijer, who voted to impeach Trump, also seems to say there may be something to it. He's saying it wasn't stolen valor, as J.D. Vance has said, but that Walz may have played fast and loose with his military bio. What do you think about this line of attack?
Everything I've seen so far from the Minnesota National Guard and from other folks who understand how to read a DD-214, a military service record, have an NG-214, the National Guard version of it, have basically said this is all being contrived out of nothing. This is a guy who was honest about his service. He gave 25 years of honorable service in the National Guard. I think it is. I think it demeans and diminishes the service of every guardsman and every man and woman who served in the Guard for this kind of attack to be done this way. A lot of these folks know better. A lot of these folks know very clearly that they're lying about this. I trust the folks from Veterans for Responsible Leadership, Afghanistan and Iraq veterans, from Vote Vets. They've all looked at this and said that these attacks are spurious and ludicrous. But it doesn't surprise me coming from the Trump campaign. This is their MO. This is their approach to these things. They don't really care about the truth. They're looking for anything to get an angle in on this rising, soaring campaign. They're trying to blunt the fact that Walz has taken off as a cultural phenomenon in the last 2 days. They're really scared of this guy, and I can see why they would lie, but it should be recognized for what it is, which is a lie.
And just continuing with that point, finally, it's only been 3 weeks. I mean, it seems like 3 months in political years with what has happened over the last 3 weeks. But I'm wondering what you think about the state of this campaign. You talked about some states that went, from leaning right from right to leaning right in the middle. What are you thinking has happened? Because we saw a little bit of a different Donald Trump today than we did at the RNC, say.
Look, at the RNC, Donald Trump had about a 6-week run of the best political luck I've ever seen in almost 40 years in politics. Nothing could go right for Joe Biden. Nothing could go wrong for Donald Trump. He came out onto that stage in a position where he believed he had this election in the bag, that he could basically take 3 days a week and go and golf and spend the rest of the time lounging around Mar-a-Lago. That's not the case anymore. He understands now that Vice President Harris has activated something in our society, in our culture, that sense of hope and joy and optimism that her campaign seems to be defined by now is something that's drawing enormous crowds. It's moving the numbers in the states. It's changing the chemistry of this campaign rapidly. It's still a tight race, but in the average state, it's gone from Trump being up 5 to 7 points to a tie ball game in a matter of 3 weeks. This is not great for Trump. If she continues with this momentum, I mean, we had an Emerson poll today, Marquette poll today, that had her 8 points up. This is a race that if she consistently starts maintaining a 4, 5, 6 point lead in the national polling and holds even a 2 or 3 point lead in the swing state polling, this is a race that's going to get very ugly for Donald Trump and the Republicans very quickly.
Lincoln Project co-founder Rick Wilson. Rick, thanks for taking the time tonight. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Happy to be with you.